Spectacular satellite images of violent undersea eruption in the island country of Tonga have gripped the world.
Scientists have discovered the true ferocity of a huge volcanic eruption off the coast of Tonga in January.
In the Kermadec-Tonga subduction zone, amidst a volcanic arch, lies the ominous Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai, standing perilously close to a highly active seismic region. For decades, the looming threat of disaster has kept scientists and volcanologists on edge, well aware that this unstable area could unleash havoc at any moment. Their worst nightmare has now become reality as the Tonga volcano erupts violently, causing the earth to tremble. But what you may not know is that last year's eruption is now having a significant impact on our climate. Recent research indicates that the eruption produced a global shockwave and spewed massive amounts of water vapor into the upper atmosphere, causing a small, short-term increase in global warming and temporary depletion of the protective ozone layer. With the world still reeling from last year's calamity, what will be the consequences of another eruption from the largest underwater volcano on the planet? Stick with us until the end to find out. Tonga, a beautiful archipelago of 169 islands, is divided into three main island groups: Tongatapu, Ha'apai and Vava'u. The stunning coral reefs that surround the islands are home to a diverse range of marine life. But there's more to this island's paradise than just beaches and crystal clear waters. The Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai volcano, an impressive geological feature, erupted in 2015 and formed a new island between Hunga Tonga and Hunga Ha'apai. This colossal volcano, standing over 2,000 meters tall, is a force to be reckoned with, and its caldera measured 4 kilometers at its widest extent just before the 2022 eruption. As part of the Kermadec-Tonga Ridge, the Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai volcano is a long chain of islands and volcanoes formed by the collision of the Pacific Plate and the Indo-Australian Plate. Though mostly underwater, the Hunga Tonga and Hunga Ha'apai Islands offer a glimpse into the volcano's past, as they're the last remnants of the caldera's northern and western rim, which stretches around 20 kilometers in diameter. Last year's volcanic eruption on the Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai volcano in Tonga was a game-changer. The volcano's northern and southern regions, which were already reeling from past eruptions, were hit hard and left behind a trail of devastation. The explosion brought the two sub-aerial islands together, leaving a new land bridge in its wake. The islands are made up of andesite and tephra deposits with steep rocky cliffs. Samples from the islands show that the volcano has a long history of eruptions, with one pyroclastic flow dating back to 1040 to 1180 CE. This eruption coincided with a tropical eruption in 1108 CE that caused a 1 degree Celsius global cooling and formed the caldera. Experts know all too well the sheer power of this geological marvel and have a deep respect for it, and it's not hard to see why. After the 2015 eruption, there was a significant change in the landscape of Hunga Tonga Island. The eruption created a tombolo which connected the island to its neighbour, Hunga Ha'apai, while also filling up the southern end of the crater with sandy deposits. On the other hand, erosion in the southeast allowed seawater to flood the crater, eventually forming a lagoon. But these changes were not isolated events, as the volcano has been active for years, erupting multiple times in the 21st century. In 2009, it erupted underwater, creating a new land surface, while the 2014 eruption caused volcanic plumes and earthquakes to shake the volcanoes north of Tonga. And then in mid-December, a new eruption started, with a white steam plume rising from the ocean over the volcanic mount. The eruption continued into 2015, with a massive ash cloud towering 3 kilometers into the sky. It was a terrifying display of nature's power, and Tongan officials declared the eruption over by the end of January. In June of 2017, 2 daring French explorers set out to explore New Ireland, braving the unknown to bring back a treasure trove of stunning photos and rock samples. Little did they know that their samples would hold a fascinating secret about the volcanic ash that comprises much of Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai Island. It turns out that the ash had previously undergone a transformation, interacting with warm oceanic waters to become a much sturdier rock that could stand the test of time, or so they thought. But the eruption of 2022 proved to be an unforeseen event that shattered those assumptions, unleashing destruction on the island and reminding us of the raw power of nature. The 2022 eruption of Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai was an awe-inspiring spectacle that broke records in several astonishing ways. It unleashed a massive plume that was visible from Tonga's capital and created a blast that could be heard 6,000 miles away in Alaska. For about 4 weeks, the eruption intensified, and scientists described it as a magma hammer, rated at least VEI 5 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index. The eruption displaced around 10 cubic kilometers of rock, ash, and sediment, causing tsunamis across the Pacific Rim. The eruption's impact was felt in numerous countries, with New Zealand, Japan, the United States, Chile, Peru, and the Russian Far East being hit the hardest. NASA reports that the eruption was 100 times more potent than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima, making it the most massive atmospheric explosion detected by modern instrumentation. This eruption was also the most extensive one since the 1991 Mount Pinatubo eruption and the most potent one since the 1883 Krakatoa eruption, cementing its place in history as one of the most significant volcanic events of modern times. The eruption of Tonga's underwater caldera sent the usual mix of volcanic ash, gas, and pulverized rock soaring into the air, along with an unexpected ingredient, a massive amount of ocean water. According to a study in Nature Climate Change, the eruption blasted 146 metric megatons of water into the stratosphere, potentially contributing to global warming for the next 5 years. This is concerning news as the Earth is on the brink of surpassing the 1.5 degrees Celsius target set by the Paris Agreement. The World Meteorological Organization recently announced a 50% chance of exceeding this threshold within the next 5 years. The study also found that the eruption increased the likelihood of the Earth temporarily exceeding this target by another 7%. The eruption of Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai in 2022 was so spectacular that it released a plume of gas and ash that rose to the edge of outer space, a phenomenon not often seen in volcanic eruptions. Scientists have also discovered that the eruption removed an incredible 2.3 cubic miles of rock from the sea floor, making it a truly massive event. Furthermore, the eruption injected an unprecedented amount of water vapor into the atmosphere, posing a potential threat to global climate. The accompanying tsunami was equally impressive, with satellite images capturing the vast extent of the blast. Despite this eruption's awesome power, scientists are still trying to piece together the dynamic of underwater pyroclastic flows. In a recent survey, scientists found evidence of multiple pyroclastic flows radiating around the caldera, leaving behind a white layer of fine sediments. Moreover, the volcanic flows not only caused significant physical damage, but it also disrupted communication lines, which posed challenges for the recovery efforts. According to Emily Lane's model, the volcanic material flowed into a valley, hit the walls, and broke a communication cable, dragging it northward. The eruption was powerful enough to excavate 2,300 feet of rock in the central crater, and most of the debris fell within a 12-mile radius of the volcano. The remaining dust particles, however, created beautiful and colourful sunrises and sunsets that lasted for months. Fortunately, experts believe that a similarly massive eruption is unlikely to happen in the near future, though the volcano is still active and spewing hot water mixed with volcanic glass. Scientists are sounding the alarm that the underwater eruption of Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai could have significant global repercussions, potentially causing a temporary spike in surface temperatures over the next 5 years, as mentioned earlier. Typically, when a volcano erupts, it causes a cooling effect on the planet due to the dust and aerosols reflecting sunlight away. However, the Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai eruption had an unusual outcome. It led to warming of the Earth's surface, which is concerning. Dr. Stuart Jenkins from the University of Oxford explains that the eruption expelled less cooling sulfur dioxide aerosols into the stratosphere and significantly more water vapor, 146 million tons, which increased the water content in the stratosphere by 10 to 15%. The eruption was so massive that even astronauts aboard the International Space Station, 269 miles above the Pacific Ocean, observed the volcanic plume. "It's absolutely unique," said Holger Vommel, a senior scientist at the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado. This has not happened since we've been capable of measuring stratospheric water vapour, which started something like 70 years ago. Dr. Vommel emphasised that it's currently highly uncertain to determine how much the Tonga eruption will contribute to global warming. However, he believes that the magnitude of the warming effect could be similar to that of Pinatubo, but in the opposite direction. He also pointed out that the additional warming could persist for a longer period of time compared to the cooling effect after Pinatubo. It is highly probable that the substantial amount of water vapour released by the Tonga eruption would modify the atmospheric chemistry that breaks down the ozone layer, which shields the Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation from the Sun. According to Dr. Vommel, the increase in water vapour content would result in a decrease in the amount of ozone, but this effect would be transitory since ozone formation and destruction occur in a perpetual cycle. Recent research has also revealed that the Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai eruption was so intense that it disturbed the Earth's atmosphere in unprecedented ways. Scientists observed that the disturbance to the ionosphere caused by the energy release was comparable to a solar geomagnetic storm. Even NASA's global ultraviolet imager picked up on something extraordinary in the far ultraviolet light spectrum. A temporary decline in UV emissions indicated that water vapour from the eruption had reached an unparalleled height, possibly beyond the mesosphere. In addition, the eruption generated an astonishing amount of lightning, with over 25,000 lightning events recorded in just 5 minutes, and a staggering 400,000 lightning events over 6 hours. Meteorologist Chris Vygotsky described it as the most concentrated lightning ever documented. Dr. Shane Cronin, a professor of earth sciences, reported that his team found evidence of regular, massive eruptions happening every 1,000 years, with the last one occurring in 1100. The deposits from this volcano indicate that there may be more eruptions to come, with the possibility of even larger and more frequent eruptions in the future. Let's hear what you think about this colossal underwater volcano in the comments below.